Hey folks, welcome to a late night edition of Common Man Cocktails. Of course, this might not go out late at night, but it's late at night now. What I wanted to do is kind of do a Q&A session with the fans and myself. So what I did is a couple days ago on Facebook.com/CocktailTV, I posted hey, ask me some questions, I'll answer your questions, and I'm answering the questions. I wrote them down in my little book so I'd have something to start with, and let's see if this grows organically. I've done a couple of these in the past. Some of these questions might be redundant to people who've been watching for a while, but I think there's enough new people that it would be kind of neat. It's a little different. We did one with Doug. Well, I posted it with Doug a couple of days ago. So kind of like that, but with me. And then we can see if we can get Kurt in here eventually and Ian, and we can just blast them with questions. So if you have questions, you can leave them below. If they're not ones that are in my book, that I'm going to answer right now. So the Q&As. We've got Matt Stephenson and Mike Jones both asked a similar question about what my favorite cocktail is. It's a good place to put it right at the beginning of the video because everybody asks. Or they ask what I suggest that they drink. I would say the first is a whiskey sour. I like my whiskey sours with Buffalo Trace. Sometimes if a little sweeter, I want to go with Maker's Mark. Sometimes a little stronger, I like to go with Four Roses, single barrel strength, a little bit more potent, or Knob Creek. So I usually go that route. In the summertime, after I had that classic daiquiri we did in the show over the summer, it was a little pinch of salt. You can get it out of the Liquid Intelligence book, or you could just watch the classic daiquiri video we did. That one was fantastic. Chicago South Side is something I now have been putting a lot more emphasis on. So my cocktail of choice might be seasonal dependent, might be mood dependent. Originally it was a Mai Tai. I've kind of changed from Mai Tais, and I moved into the whiskey sour. Now I'm like the Chicago South Sides or something I've been making. So it's an ever-changing list. The next follow-up to that Mike Jones had put was, what is your best drinking story? The two that I come up with is the first one when we were in college. It was Jennifer, me, and some other friends of ours, our roommates and stuff, were going out for subs at 2 in the morning or whatever and been drinking. And we convinced Ian that he should climb the Dean's building. He's like, I'm not going to climb the Dean's building. You crazy? We're like, no, we'll follow you. We'll all do it. Like, okay. So he goes and starts climbing the Dean's building, and my buddy Luke was like, dude, let's go. And we all ran. That was pretty funny. The second one is probably after college when we were in our garage. The one I remember the most, at least. I don't know how good they are. There's never any good drinking stories. They always ended bad. We were playing beer pong, and my former roommate that didn't make it through school for obvious reasons decided he was going to play beer pong with some tequila, some 1800, and that didn't go so well. So when you win or lose a game with beer pong using tequila, you lose every time. Next question, David Warhay writes, I think pre-made CMC branded just add people for everyday drinkers. I buy those. So I think what David's kind of leading to is like a pre-mix, or like here's a bottle of CMC awesome sauce. You just put this in your thing and maybe you add some rum and you're good to go. Branded stuff on the show, it's cool. I like it. I use it on the show like our mats. We sold 50 mats when we first rolled out the not Kickstarter, but my own version of a Kickstarter, and to kind of fund it, because to build the mat's only under $20. It's the dye, the mold, that was $590. So maybe I made money on that. Probably not. I'm probably kind of break even. Most CMC stuff doesn't sell that well. The CMC mixing beakers are probably the best of the sellers, but most of the time, I mean, that's also because people need a mixing beaker. CMC shot glasses, they don't sell that well. They did for a while, and if I use them, they might, but they usually, compared to other things that we sell in the store at Awesome Drinks, it's the smallest. Branded stuff's cool. It's just not a lot of people want to spend money on it. And I know for a fact, David, you would buy this branded product had we made it, but I can't. It's not financially feasible to make a product for 5 people when your investment, even tiki mugs. I wanted to make my own CMC tiki mug, $6,000 to start. So, and then you end up with a shitload of mugs that you've got to sell. And considering how slow my branded stuff sells, it could take a long time. So someday, probably, if a brand comes to me and says, we want a CMC thing and we're going to do all the work and all you have to do is put your label on it and pitch it, I'm in, as long as it's good. Christian Crawford writes, what do you what got you started making cocktails and mixology? What got me started was this book. So, The Bar Guide, William Sonoma. I'm just showing off, really nothing special. I opened it up, and here's just the Gibson, right? Onions, dry vermouth gin, fruit punch, grapefruit juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, lime juice, lemon juice, simple syrup, granny. There's no alcohol in here. Like, what's going on? I'm sure it's listed in here someplace. Tequila, lime juice, strawberry margarita, right? Okay, I might be able to do that. Debonair cocktail, single malt scotch, Canton ginger liqueur, and a lemon twist for garnish. Dude, when I opened this book 7 years ago, I was so intimidated. There's another one too. I had a mini bar guide or something. I was so intimidated by what it required me to have. What the hell's Canton gin or ginger liqueur? What does that even mean? So I'd always end up making martinis, or not martinis. Sorry, I never made those. Always made margaritas, mai tais, sometimes a scorpion bowl. That was kind of it. So I wanted to expand myself, but I was afraid. And I said, hey, you know what? There's a business opportunity here. I was doing, at the time, gaming podcasts and audio podcasts because I used to have an online store selling video games like Xbox 360 games and Wii's, and it was a failure. But part of the marketing and branding was, hey, what if I made a podcast? Get all kinds of people to listen, and I could pitch stuff to them. Sound familiar? Like Everyday Drinkers. We had a blog, a podcast. We started a video show. We started rolling in more people. Bought a store. And now we have something that we can monetize. It's the same story. The difference is in the gaming segment, it's overblown with tons of just crap. Some good, some bad, but a lot of crap. And there's no way to be seen. There's no way to get marketing money for that. But maybe with alcohol, it's a little easier. You can get more brand attention. You can do something for these brands that not a lot of people are doing. So it was in some way a business decision. On the other side of it, it was, how do I break this problem? If I could break the problem for me, I could break it for other people. How can I open this book and actually make a cocktail? First off, it's getting rid of the intimidation. Secondly, it's what the hell is Canton ginger liqueur? Should I have it? So I went out and I bought the stuff and I started making these cocktails and tasting them on the show. Started a show going, if I tell you what it tastes like, you will know if it's something you want to try. Or maybe you don't. Breaking some of the intimidation and letting you get more creative without that fear means you can now create more cocktails that you could have created before the show, but now you can do it with less fear, because if I could do it, I'm an idiot, then you should be able to do it. So that's kind of where I get started, and then try and monetize, and I think we're heading in the right direction there. And if you guys want to know more about, like, how do you make money, how should you make money, what are your plans for it, what do you see yourself doing for revenue in 2 years, ask the question and I'll answer it. I'm not going to answer it here because I don't know if you care. Curtis McMillan writes, why is Kurt not on? He is my favorite. Curtis, you're not on because you choose not to show up on a Friday night. In reality, for those that want to know more of the story, it's Curtis had a child not too long ago, and as a new father, and a first-time father, it's a pretty big job. You kind of got to get into a rhythm and get by some of those early times where it's a two people have to tackle this problem. As they get easier, it gets easier. Not really, but it changes how the easiness works. So with that, and him having a job where he has to do tastings and go to tasting rooms and do this and do that, where he said he would be on, every Friday night I get a new job, I'll never have to do that again. I'll be there every week. I'm like, that's never going to happen. It'll probably happen for a couple weeks, but it wasn't exactly how I thought it was going to go. But I'm sure Kurt will be back. Peter Herrera writes, and also congratulations to Curtis for winning the CMC Fantasy Football League this year for his first time. Everybody else in the league has won, so he finally gets his victory after we've pummeled him into the ground for 3 or 4 years. Next year, I want to announce ahead of time so we can get a bigger fantasy football. If you're into fantasy football, we do have a league and we can expand it out. If you guys are interested, and I'll bring it up next year when that time comes. Peter Herrera. People say not to mix rum with whiskey, or worse, use aged dark whiskey with light rum. Thoughts? Any truth to it? Don't know if there's truth to it, I'm not a scientist. However, I could say that some people have had weird effects with brown whiskeys, or whiskey in general, versus a rum or a gin. Some people have adverse reactions to one or the other. Sometimes people get really hyper, sometimes they get really cranky, sometimes they get tired. I don't know why. There's probably a good scientific reason behind it. But I don't know how many people are doing research in that. I don't know. When you find out the answer, what is it going to do? I don't So I think that some of that, along with the myth that comes with alcohol. Yeah, you see pink elephants when you drink absinthe. No, nobody's ever done that, right? But when Jägermeister, there's your blood in Jägermeister. Well, not anymore, but there used to be. No, it's not a thing. But when you start drinking and you start making up stories or talking about stories somebody else told you, always happens when you're drinking. If you drink rum and well, you're done. Rum and whiskey. No, not really. We do it all the time. I'm still just as insane as I was when I started. Nothing's changed. I think what it is some people have those adverse reactions to specific alcohols, probably mix them and went, oh my god, this is evil. And everyone's like, oh, that's not good. I don't want that to happen to me. So I think a lot of it's either based on some level of truth with a lot more myth, and very little science to back it up. And if there is science, most people, when they're drinking and they come up with it, nobody asks these questions. Nobody ponders, you don't want to have those two things together until you're doing it. And at that point, nobody's doing market research. John Smith asks, most memorable cocktail you've ever made? I think on the show, at least, that's probably the Mexican Bulldog because it was the messiest. That's the one where we had Corona into a pint of margarita, basically, and I thought it would stop, and it just kept overflowing and got all over the table, and then Ian had to drink it off the mat because he didn't want it to go to waste. That was probably the one. Ryan Forgay, I'm going to go with that, asks a three-part question. Part one, first three things you would do if you won the lottery. I don't know for those in the U.S., the lottery right now is like $1 billion. They added some new numbers so it gets bigger and everybody's playing, and we are too. I would say the first thing I would do is quit my job. Second thing I would do is build a media empire around cocktail creation. I'd branch out. I'd do coffee reviews. I'd do a whole show on coffees and beans and going to farms and looking at fair trade. I would create a show on teas. Probably, I couldn't host all these, but get good people to be able to do that are expert and passionate about it. I'd love to do a cooking show and maybe marriage this all together somehow with different hosts where I would probably be more behind the scenes on those and kind of orchestrating stuff. So then it wouldn't matter if I ever made money on it. I don't care if I have a sponsor. I don't care if I get advertisement. I have plenty of money. That would be the second thing. The third thing I would do with it would be, I guess I'd also do the help the families. You know, my family is my wife's family. I would donate a whole buttload to the Children's Hospital in Boston, who took care of my son when he had leukemia in 2011 through 2013, and still going through checkups and stuff there. So there's the good, there's the cool stuff I think I do. Buying a Learjet, flying around the country, no. Although I would joke about buying a Learjet to go get Chinese food in China. It's extravagant. That I just wouldn't have time. I don't have any desire for that. The second question he asked was yearly costs to run all of the operations. I think that would it's variable, not counting some costs here, not counting expenses that I buy for like this mic that I'm testing out on this whole setup here and this behind the scenes shot with the SLR. I would think probably around $10,000. We make about 7. We spend about 10, give or take. Some of it comes out of my own money. Awesome Drinks sometimes has to pay for some of it. Awesome Drinks itself. You may have noticed that we've pushed the minimum order from $50 for free shipping to $75 for free shipping because this year I'd like to make a little bit of money. Awesome Drinks is kind of net zero. At the end of the month, we owe $7,000. We have $7,000, so it's a wash, which means I don't get to pay my wife yet, which would be nice if I could give her some cash for doing all the packing and shipping everybody their orders. But Awesome Drinks probably this year, I'd say probably sold. I don't know the numbers yet. Taxes aren't finished yet, but probably around. I'd say 160, 150, 170,000 worth of cocktail gear, syrups, barware this year. And we spent about that much to do that. A lot of that's free shipping. Thousands. Last 2 years ago, we spent almost $30,000 just at FedEx. So this year, I'd guess 60. FedEx loves us. So I need to cut down on some of those expenses to be able to make money. So at the end of the day, if it costs me basically $8 to acquire a customer at awesomedrinks.com if I use advertising, Google Ads. New person finds this, they click the sidebar, they come and they buy something. That's basically an $8 advertising charge. Then they use a coupon code for 10% off or 15 or 20 or whatever it is. And then they get free shipping because they order over 50. So at the end of the day, I don't make any money. So I got to tweak that a little bit so I can actually make money. Other than that, I think the other expenses are kind of in the ballpark. There's a lot of miscellaneous expenses, server charges, modules, licensing, SSL certificates, things that I just have to purchase that Shopify to run the store, as that's $1,000 a year. There's all these stupid little nickel and dime things that come up. Kyle Rollins asks, what is your never again alcoholic beverage? Don't have one. Used to, don't anymore. Used to be whiskey. I couldn't drink that after a bad experience as a kid. And then I got into scotch. I liked scotch, and somehow that taste of scotch had that whiskey kind of like the bourbon-y stuff going on. And for some reason that I adapted to it, and I was able to go back and now drink bourbons and Canadian whiskeys and Irish and whatnot, and everything's fine now. So I don't know if there's any other stuff for people who are adverse effects to vodka from childhood experiences. I feel, well, vodka's not too bad, but if it's rum, I feel bad for you. So right now, I got nothing. I don't think I ever will. I think it all works fine. Jared Goldtooth asks, have you tried Catch Fire Cinnamon Whiskey? If not, you should do a review. I would do a review. If Catch Fire finds us before I find them and they bring it here, I would totally review it like within a couple months. Our review queue is pretty big. I'm not out actively hunting at the moment because Ian did a lot of that. We still have some backlog that Ian pushed in. A lot more brands have been finding us over the last 3 months or so, like a lot. So they've been sending a lot of stuff, and not just one bottle, like 3, 4, 5 bottles. I got 4 bottles of Cockspur here of different styles that just came in last week, and I haven't even looked at them yet. Although I think my wife might have been drinking the spiced one, and so with all these type of things, it's gonna take a while to get to everything. But if they find it, I do it. If you want to tell them about us before I do, and I'll talk to them, and they can ship it over here, and we'll try it. I can't buy it locally though. Let's see. Most memorable cocktail. We did that one. Let's see, what did I miss here? Kyle Wood asks, top 3 spirit brands. One thing you may notice if you watch the show, you would be watching it into this direction. The right side of the bar has most of the stuff that I would recommend. That's done on purpose because I use it a lot as well. It's also done because I'm proud of those brands and I like them to have some face time. I do rotate some stuff out. And there are things in here like the Bombay. I wouldn't say this is the best brand I've had, but it's a staple, and I think it needs to at least be known. Kahlua, same thing. There's other ones, but Kahlua is a staple. Cool Swan's my Irish cream. So my top 3, I would say Plantation for my rums, Sparkle Donkey for my silver, and Ethereal Gin for my gin. This is a Berkshire gin. It might not be available everywhere. The Berkshires are in Massachusetts. If you've watched the show and you've seen Dan and Jalitha, they're from the Berkshires, so they should know this product pretty well. But just because you're from a place doesn't mean you drink all their stuff. I also got Captain Morgan White. So a lot of these Lemon Heart, Havana Club, Hamilton rum, Cielo tequila is really good. Then you got your chartreuse, and then over here's our liqueurs and stuff. So I think those would be my top 3 right now, and that kind of changes as I discover new stuff on the show. Let's see, where am I? Antona asks, what kind of collabs do you have lined up or hope for in 2016? Most people know by now, if you're on Facebook, where all these questions came from, that Warren Bobrow will be on the show on the 29th recording of January. He's got a wiki page, so he's epic. He's an author. He's been written in magazines in the industry that have weight behind him. He's got liquor.com in there. He's got 3 recipe books or more, and he'll be on the show. So that's kind of my first lineup. The second one I have lined up would be Rumson's brand. So I'm going to have their folks in on the show. I'd like to kind of get both industry movers and shakers, brand advocates, and people that run brands, so that you can kind of get both angles. You want to be able to see some of these new brands and the passion that those brands have, and I think that helps to build a relationship with the brand. I know with the Common Man Cocktails, people build a relationship with me because I am the brand. The folks at Cockspur were nice and sent me all this stuff, right? I've never met them personally. I've met a lot of brands at Tales of the Cocktail, specifically last year, and I'm sure I'll meet some this year. To this place if you want to go there in New Orleans in the hot time in July. And a lot of the brands there in Perfect Puree, Napa Valley, these people recognize me, and I get to meet them one-on-one, and it changes my perspective when I can put a face to the name. And I think having some of them being able to do this here isn't necessarily as much of a marketing pitch to you guys, but to say, these are the guys that are out in the trenches making these products grow and building them, especially the smaller ones that don't have massive recognition. Sure, if I could get the folks from Bombay here, that I would totally do that. Will they show up here? I totally don't think so. But if a brand is in the Boston area for a conference or a tasting or whatever, or they find us and they want to come on, I'll have them here. I don't care who they are, even if I've never had the brand. I can taste it on the show with them, and you guys can watch. So those are the questions for this upcoming whatever. Oh, I think there was something on the future CMC, so I thought I'd hit that too. Oh yeah, future CMC. Ryan Forget had asked that as well. The future of CMC, to me, based on the fact that this is how it's going to happen, within the next few months, I should be able to pull this off full time. And when I say full time, that doesn't mean I'm making all this money. And now I'm good. I can claim victory. I'll be pulling about $50,000 out of my savings to launch Common Man Cocktails in my second side brand that hopefully will make more money as a job, as a career. And part of that, I've got a lot of stuff I have to do right now. I'm meeting with financial advisors. I'm refinancing the house. I'm doing everything to try and limit my budget so that I can burn money longer. And hopefully within that period of time, the show will have taken off. My other craft cocktail show that we're working on, which we'll be filming on Saturday this week, to kind of get a feel for it and work through the way it's going to end up filming, will be a pay-for series. So there'll be 30 videos. The first set will be all about vodka, from the first stages of vodka. We'll cover the screwdriver, the Madras, the Cape Cod, or some of the myths and histories and legends behind them, in faster short-form videos, 6-minute videos each. We want to make some shrubs and build those into a vodka and be able to show that off. So that will be a series that will build upon itself. You finish vodka, that's $50. That's what you'd end up paying for that series, I think. And then the next series will be gin, probably $50. And then the next one will be rum, $50. By the time you're done, you will be able to take what I have here, without as many brands, and be able to make a cocktail, have a full bar, but be able to make a cocktail with every single thing you see, and probably be able to make 5 to 10 cocktails with every single thing you see, and have references to it with mobile access to be able to say, I need to remember how to create the Cape Cod, or what does it look like? Boom, pop it up, go to our website, and you could see it, and you watch the video again if you want to. So it'll be, and hopefully it'll be something that the fans will enjoy. They'll help by supporting us, by purchasing it, but they can also tell other people, and then I can bring in a whole new fold of people who are looking for short-term videos to have a finite resource to say, this is what I want to do. I don't want to watch you guys blab for 20 minutes. I want to know, how do I do this stuff? So I hope to be able to capture even a larger demographic. So that's what I kind of see in the near future, and I'm hoping that you guys will help support us. I don't even care if it's a share or retweet, a donation, whatever you could do to continue to grow our brand with us. What that does is that helps these guys when I go to Cockspur or the Soldado folks who will be sponsoring an episode, or whatever this glass is here that's going to be used for absinthe. What does this do? They'll be doing some sponsors with us as well. So I need to grow that to be able to keep the show going. So the more you support it and the more you look at these brands when we talk about them or interact, the better. So that's it. One final note, since the video is probably nice and long, and I'll put this at the end, is if you are a lurker, if you're the type of person who's been watching for years, and I had at least 3 in the last couple of weeks who've sent me emails going, just wanted to say hi. I've been watching since you were in the attic, and I've never said anything before. That's awesome, because to me, what that does is that puts a name to a view count. I have a view count. It might be 1,500, it might be 800, it might be 3,000, 4,000, depending on the video. I just see a number. So I know, like, the Davids, the Mikes, the Johns, the Antona, the people I can't even pronounce their names, but I see them in the chat rooms. I see them in the live stream. I see them leaving comments daily, just hammering it through. First comment, 10 comment, whatever. Multiple comments, feedback, commenting to each other, talking to each other in a live stream. All those people, I can't remember all their names off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them out there. And when I'm recording, those are the people I see. The Michaela, the people in Australia, the people in Austria, it doesn't matter. So when I'm looking at this camera, which is a little circle and then a tripod, to everybody else, it's just an electronic device. But if you let me know who you are and you communicate and let me know your name, you don't have to, you just drop lines. Just say hi, dschommer@everydaydrinkers.com. Just wanted to say hi. it gives me an idea that all these other humans that I haven't even envisioned when I'm doing these shows. So when I'm recording and I'm here with Ian and we're hitting the camera and we're talking to people, we're visualizing that crowd of people in a room that we're talking to. That's kind of how we get around just talking to a blanket device. So the more people that just drop a line and say, hey, I'm John, I've been watching since whatever. I started watching because of this. I love this. I became a bartender, or I'm working at such and such a place. Maybe I'm a programmer, and I noticed you were a programmer once too. It doesn't matter. It just gives me some human reaction and human nature and touch behind the show. So just remember that. If you're watching, you've never said anything, and you're like shy or whatever, it helps us from a mental standpoint more than anything else, right? Otherwise, you're just a number. Don't be a number. Be a human. All right, we're done. I'm gonna go finish watching my Star Trek Enterprise episode and probably edit this and then hit the sheets. What do you say? Go to bed. That's it. We're done. We're teaching you how to drink.